Hi guys. I was hesitant to record this presentation because it is about a heavy topic or many topics, but enough people asked, and so here it is. Um, please know this is heavy. Don't just listen to it flippantly, but listen to it with an open heart. And thank you for wanting to be involved. Essentially, so Life Impact International, my trip to Brazil this summer, 2021. Why are you even listening to this? I was Life Impact's first international volunteer in Brazil. They have a location in Thailand, but I was the first one in Brazil. I spent 3 weeks in Rio and then 3 weeks in the Northeast. The agenda, what I'm going to talk about in this presentation, it will be a shortened version of what I gave to the many people who listened in person. Essentially, Life Impact's vision and mission, vision and method, how Life Impact does what it does, what my time was like in Rio, what my time was like in the Northeast, the challenge in each location, and then my heart. Because the reason that this is so important to me is because my heart is still definitely in Brazil, and to the point of, dear Lord, do you want me in Brazil permanently? And I want people to speak into my life and give me discernment or give me just things to think about. So I'm giving this presentation to, yes, give it to you, but also to ask for help and wisdom as I discern this part of my life. So disclaimer, Brazil is absolutely wonderful, absolutely wonderful. The goal of this presentation is not to proclaim hopelessness or glorify the US, but please listen with a prayerful heart and ask me if you have questions. Please message me. All right, let's just get into it. So the story, this is Lana Vasquez. She started Life Impact International 20 years ago. She started with one girl. That one girl has now turned into 100+ kids in Thailand and Myanmar. They are rescued. And then in 2019, right before COVID, she launched Life Impact Brazil. The vision, this is extremely important. The vision is to raise a generation that can break the chains of child trafficking and exploitation. So the point is not just to rescue kids from child trafficking, but to break the sin cycle that has trapped entire villages and cities. And so the vision is way bigger than what we can see. I want to make a big point, and Lana makes this point often, is that while we are changing poor and vulnerable communities, the goal is not to help just bring finances or economic or just change a city, but it's specifically to help kids who are sexually abused and exploited, who are in the most intense situation. So the method, what does Life Impact do to help these children? Essentially, we prevent, rescue, heal, right? And you need all three of these to work together. So we prevent, we find the kids, and we establish ourselves in a community. Through finding the kids, we rescue, and then eventually we can heal. Because while you can rescue a kid, unless they're changed and impacted by the love of Jesus Christ, the rescuing meant nothing, right? Prevention. You're like, why specifically prevention, right? Why can't you just start rescuing kids? And essentially, from what I know, in Thailand, the kids are definitely on the street, and you can see the sexual exploitation right in front of your eyes. In Brazil, on a different aspect, there are so many strict, it's a catch-22. There's so many strict laws against child trafficking that it's all in hiding, right? And so in order to know the kids that need to be rescued, you need to reach the community and get to know the community. And so through this prevention project, we're able to rescue kids and get to know who needs to be rescued specifically. So what is a prevention project? This is a very interesting explanation, but basically they're located in the most vulnerable communities, and they are extremely stable. Essentially, our staff, for one example, our staff of like 8 people, they show up every single Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. We show up with the trucks, we set it up. We put on a whole like class or show with the kids. The kids know us. It's not an official school. The overhead is really low, but the kids get to know people who speak into their lives, right? In Thailand, I believe that Lana has had prevention projects that have not missed a single week for years on end. All right. prevention projects can happen. This is one of my favorites, is this Campo Alegre, and it happened under a tree. So 8 staff, 60 kids under a tree. Another prevention project happened in a basketball court. Another prevention project happened in the top of a pastor's house. And so essentially, without establishing an entire school, without establishing an entire system, we are able to reach these kids and get to know the heart of the kids without, getting to know the heart of the kids and being impactful in their lives. So this goes to kind of a diagram of, at least as of summer 2021. We have 3 prevention projects in Juazeiro do Norte with about 300 kids, 8 staff, and in Rio, we have 1 project with 60 kids and 6 staff. Incredible. So Brazil versus Thailand. Brazil started in 2019, and we do not have the legal rights yet to start adopting kids. In contrast, in Thailand has been existent for over 20 years, and they can legally adopt kids, and the government actually is very thankful that Life Impact exists there. And it's incredible. So anyways, so pray for Brazil that we will have our own promised land to start adopting kids and start rescuing kids. So currently the focus in Brazil is entirely in prevention. So if I was doing a live session, I would ask, are there any clarifying questions? If you have any questions about the method of how Life Impact rescues kids through prevent, rescue, heal, let me know. And if I don't know, I will get you the answer. So what was I doing the first week, right? The first 3 weeks, actually. I was in the City of God Favela, prevention project number 1. Here is the City of God. And it's called, or favela, or we'll explain it. Basically, what is a favela? Often if you look in the news, even with the like tourism, everything, favelas are considered almost like romanticized as these colorful places where the kids fly kites and there's lots of colorful buildings and they play soccer, and they're poor kids, but they're in the most beautiful parts of the city, right? It's partially true, but there's so much more intensity to a favela. A favela is an area of the city that is actively not operated, the government actively does not operate in that area. There are entire cities within cities. So the City of God Favela, I don't know why it's called the City of God, but the City of God Favela has 50,000 people within it. They're governed by drug dealers and militias. So you can drive around and you know exactly which favela is run by a militia, which one's run by different drug dealers. It's incredible, crazy. They're incredibly dangerous. They're coveted in prime locations within Rio. And there's hundreds in Rio alone. They're not necessarily poor or small. They're entire economies within the city. So there are rich people in the City of God Favela, and there's poor people. It's wild. So this shows you the different favelas that are in the city. All these little orange dots this is a survey that was taken during the Olympics. All these orange dots are favelas. So that means there are this many areas where the government actively does not care about that area. It is insane. This is Cidade de Deus. This is where the city was that we worked in. And then this is Barra de Juca, I'll just say Barra. And this is a very wealthy area actually of Rio. So I'll not, because this is going to be posted online, I won't talk about the slide too extensively, but you can ask about it later. But essentially, as you can see right here, this is a card table with drugs being sold on it. So it was sold at every corner of the favela, specifically City of God Favela. It is extremely intense. So the challenge, why are the kids so vulnerable in this City of God, right? So to start, here in the corner, it says, it says funk parties, right? Funk parties, as far as I have heard, they go from Thursday to Sunday night. And they, basically the entire city participates in this massive party, right? And as you can imagine, it produces this massive cycle of drugs and abuse. So these were some kids that I hung out with. I got to meet on Saturday night, and I was so happy hanging out with them. They were street kids, and I said, hey, does anyone care if you go home? Nope, no one could care. Like, could care less. They were just roaming the streets. The music was super loud, and they were just so accustomed to it. So another concept is there's no formal law, right? The what am I saying? The cars don't even have to have license plates on them. There's no formal law. There's little to no education. This is an adorable girl. If we could, we would probably rescue her immediately. I was counting with her, and literally we were doing the times tables, 2 times 2, 2 times 3. And I was like, okay, this is a little challenging, but you can do it. Come to find out, she didn't even know how to like write the number 2, right? She's 9, 10 years old, has no idea how to write the numbers 1 through 10. And so I sat there and worked on it with her, and I was like, oh, this is what it means to have no education, right? Over sexualization of children. This is a famous TikToker that has been produced out of the favelas, and the favelas are very glorified, right? Their amazing music has come out of the favelas. And so out of that means that all our little kids, all our little boys and girls, who do they look up to? They look up to the drug dealers as if they're a boy, and all the girls look up to these over sexualized women. So how does Life Impact have access, right? It is such a dangerous place. How does Life Impact have a gatekeeper to come in? Because if you drive in, there's guns at the moment you drive in, right? And that's the miracle. So this is Pastor Tony. His testimony, I only heard really through a translator, but essentially when he was younger, he was left to die. He was a drug dealer himself. He was left to die. He was kicked out of the city of God. He came to the Lord. And then he came back to the city of God. And his goal is every single time that there is a drug dealer in danger, their mom or their relative call him and he rescues them. So he has, I don't know the exact number, but that is his ministry, that's his heart, and he has rescued many drug dealers. The miracle is that we are allowed to use his house. This is his house, which is amazing. He actually won this house. I believe it's his church came together and gave him this house. So this house in itself is a miracle. Thais is the lady who runs the Rio Life Impact. And she actually knows somehow, again, this is all through translator, but she knew Pastor Tony through this connection. And because we are with him, everyone allows us to work in the city of God, which is incredible that we have this gatekeeper, that this basically this pathway to work in the most dangerous part of the world. And it's because he has let us in. So, and that's ultimately a connection of God. So currently Life Impact Rio has 60 kids, 1 prevention project in Pastor Tony's home, 1 psychologist, which is amazing. The kids are able to talk through everything. A driver, Pastor Tony is also a driver, and then 3 teachers. And it's incredible. It's the most precious thing to watch these kids' lives be transformed. This is the Rio team. This is the Life Impact team. Some of these are spouses, so they're not all paid staff, but it's really incredible. This is Thais. I want to give her a shout out. She's 26 years old and she's running Team Rio. And that's because Lana is so passionate about the fact that through the Lord, you are enough in Christ, right? Like the Lord will give you your passion and he will give you your ability. And so she's 26, but she is running the whole thing incredibly. So this is the team, and it is amazing, amazing, amazing. And they have such a vision for not just the kids, not just helping kids, but they have a vision to change the city and to break the generational cycles that have held the city down for generations. This is my favorite girl. I can't say her name, but yeah, she's I love her. She sat down on my lap and she's like, I'm going to be your Portuguese teacher, Aunt Nisha. And she definitely lived to her name. So anyways, if you're wondering, for many of you who supported me while I was there, if you're wondering what I specifically did, I painted a mural. Here are some paintings that I helped the kids paint, which were going to go for the donors in the US. We did a social media campaign, and then I taught classes. It was awesome, awesome, awesome. Oh, if you're one, and then I taught classes in every class. So I taught like either science or art classes, and every class had a connection to the gospel. So incredible. Life Impact Team Rio for the future, right? The exciting part is that I asked for $4,700, $8,125 came in, right? That extra surplus money is going to go to this building right here. The favela, if you see this yellow area, that is the favela. And right here, this white building is the building where we're going to build a new prevention project, a place where the kids can come and we can host 150 kids. So we're no longer just going to be in Pastor Tony's apartment. We're going to be in our own facility. And it is going to be incredible. And the kids get this opportunity to walk outside of their favela to see a whole different world, even though it's like 5 feet away. For the future, right? What does life impact look like for the future in Rio? The big thing is we want to start rescuing kids. So the prevention projects are great, but we already have identified kids that we could rescue who are in these exploited or abusive situations. And so just pray that we can start rescuing these kids. We also want to partner with the local church, and we want Brazil to sponsor Brazil. Essentially, Brazil is a very wealthy country. So this is an incredibly, like the favelas at times are extremely poor areas, except it's crazy because Brazil is surrounded by wealth, especially in Rio, especially in Baja. And so the concept is, how do we get people from Brazil to be passionate about their own country and about their own kids? And so that is a big thing. And that will come through partnering with the local church. So this is a big miracle that happened on July 17th. We hosted a huge bazaar in the city of God, which was to essentially, the local church would donate clothes, and then people, citizens of the city of God would come in exchange for 1 pound of food, they would get five pieces of clothes. Or not, I don't know if 1 pound, but like if in exchange for some food, they would get 5 clothing items. Incredible, right? Thais, the owner or the leader of Rio, she said, hey, I have this idea. I'm going to pitch it to my pastor. She pitched it to her pastor 2 weeks before July 17th. In 2 weeks, the pastor was like, we're going to do this. And the church donated 16,000 clothing items. So that is what was possible with the church in a 2-week period. So if that's possible in 2 weeks, think about how much is possible with months of planning, right? So the church, and also the exciting part is the pastor told Thais, I have been dreaming of wanting to help the favelas, but I haven't had a gatekeeper, I haven't had a way in. So now through Life Impact, he has a way to help the favelas. Incredible. This is the church. Think of this is not even the church. This is just the youth camp. It's incredible. The church was incredible. And then this is Pastor Tony at the day of the bazaar. We had 230 volunteers, raised over 3,000 pounds of food. Incredible. So if you have more questions about this event, let me know. So now take a deep breath. So that was Rio. Rio was incredible. Everyone was telling me that I was going to love Rio. I had no idea, like I was super excited. Juazeiro was a place that I had no idea what to expect with. Talk about an entirely different world, totally different lifestyle. So Juazeiro do Norte, think of South Dakota, right? No one, like even the people in Rio, I told them where I was going and they had no idea where I was going. It's so random, so small, so different, But some reason God pushed on the heart of Lana and her team to start a life impact here. And the Lord is good because he knew before even Lana and the team knew. So for in context, it is a 32-hour car ride north of Rio. So we took 2 planes to get there. An entirely different world. Why are we there? The answer truly is prayer. There would be no other reason for us to be in Juazeiro do Norte except the fact that the Lord knew we had to be there, right? The challenge, unlike the favelas where they throw these big, massive funk parties every single weekend, and there's a lot of money from the drugs. Instead, in Juazeiro do Norte, and actually a lot of parts of the Northeast, there's just extreme poverty. There are very few local workers. So unlike Rio, which had access to this big, massive local church, Juazeiro did not. They had smaller churches, right? There was fewer missionaries. There's a rape culture, which I will go into, and then it's extremely spiritually heavy, right? Why Juazeiro? So spiritually heavy, what does that mean, right? In 1899, this man named Padre Cicero, he was a Catholic priest. He gave a sacrament to a lady, and it was said that the sacrament turned into blood, right, into Christ's body. And it was deemed as an incredible, crazy, amazing miracle, right? You listen to that story and you say, okay, sounds very Catholic. Apparently, though, there's more to it. The Catholic Church soon kicked him out because there was too much fame given to him through this whole process. And so instead of becoming a Catholic priest, he then used his newfound time and became the mayor and founder of Juazeiro, okay? So at first you think, this is great. This guy is just the mayor, founder of Juazeiro. But in reality, his picture is everywhere to the point where they do idolize him. So he's on the front of the airport. He is in the restaurants. Every single shopping mall, his statue is there. So his influence in the region is incredibly intense. This is where it gets incredibly heavy. If you walk up to his monument or his museum, his place of prayer, you will find thousands of wooden body parts. Like the weirdest, it's weird, right? And there'll be like boobs and hands and feet and just thousands of just different body parts. And you'll see their names on the body parts, right? And essentially it's the concept of, if I crawl up to this place of Padre Cicero, and if I write the name of someone who I need to get healed, for example, if my aunt has a broken arm, if I write her name on this wooden piece, then, and if I crawl it up to Padre Cicero, she'll be healed. And as you can imagine, with that, there's a lot of heaviness, just this concept of healing and this desire for healing. And so then you have the kids in this area, they don't know who Jesus is, they know who Padre Cicero is, right? They're more apt to pray to Padre Cicero over Jesus. And so this is a village right here that was right outside of Padre Cicero's museum. And I can't really talk about what happens there online, but essentially you can imagine it's extremely spiritually heavy and the kids need a life impact there. So hopefully we can open a prevention project in that village. This was, we stopped by and ate ice cream and we got to talk to some of them, and it was the most beautiful thing ever. Now, the miracle though, despite it being so spiritually heavy, one of the leaders in the village, she recently became a Christian. Her name's Dolores. While she was praying, she said, "Dear Lord, I'm praying for something to change in my village." At the same time, apparently, Lana in Thailand was like, "Yep, I need to start moving. The time to go to Brazil is now." And she got the go to Brazil from the Lord. So the concept that the Lord listens to prayers is so incredible. So essentially, this is one of the projects in Sahina. This is the village, and we meet there every Saturday. There's about 50 kids, and it is amazing, amazing, amazing. These are some girls who actually are mothers themselves. It's hard. It's really hard to fathom, but they're amazing, sweet, beautiful girls. And this little boy. I love him so much. He loves to dance. He will dance with any of our staff for hours. So talk about an incredible place to be. And you could tell that the kids, when you first get to this village, even 4 weeks ago when I first came, they didn't know how to play. They were very heavy. Their eyes were super droopy. You would try to get them to play and they didn't know what to do. And even after 4 weeks, they were like, oh, I'm supposed to play. And they became kids, it was beautiful, 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 beautiful. So what does rape culture mean? And I say that with these pictures of me being cute with all the kids, but essentially, as you can see, the kids were always on top of you, right? There is no sense of boundaries with the kids. And I loved it. I loved having the kids always hugging me, always being around. I wanted to pick them up at all times, but at the same time, I'm an adult with in a background check who would never do anything to hurt the kids. If you can imagine, if the kids have no sense of boundaries, they do not know what is normal. You can imagine how it can be abused, right? Hugging is such a norm. Like if you walk into a room, you have to hug everyone. And if you walk out of a room, you have to hug everyone, right? The kids don't know better. So someone could easily hug them and they could easily touch them. And if they complain, the parents make them go back and hug them, right? So essentially, it is so normal to be constantly touched to the point where a big thing that we have to teach our kids is how to be touched correctly. What is normal? What can they say no to, right? And teaching them to know better. Another big thing, which I didn't think would add to so much to it, but it actually does, is that there's no doors on the buildings. It's just that poor in some of the villages. And so you have adults and uncles and fathers touching their own girls, right? And it's a cultural thing. And the women don't necessarily stand up because they need the money, right? And so those are the kids that we're actively trying to rescue. This is one of my favorite prevention projects. It happens Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 3 times a week under a tree, literally. Lord willing, we're going to get a building soon, or start up the building soon. And we have a lot of teenagers at this one. And so a big thing that we can do is talk to the teenagers about what they're supposed to do, how they're supposed to be touched, how can they treat their brothers and sisters, right? This project was so amazing. You drive up and the kids just attack your car and you just feel so much peace and love with the kids. So there are the kids. We would have either from 40 to 70 kids at one time. It was incredible. And then this is a little boy. I want to give him a shout out. These are his 2 little cousins, and I would forget to feed the cousins, right? The little twins, but he every single day as a 5-year-old would feed them, would make sure they had breakfast, would make sure they got to the place, would they make sure they got home. So talk about kids who have had to grow up super fast, and for once they get to be a kid again. If you want to hear my Portuguese, here it is. So I love this. The kids, I wanted to teach the kids that God is stronger than everything, except we couldn't find magazines, like real magazines. So we found magazines on like gladiators in the Colosseum and prehistoric creatures. And so the kids who like barely know how to read and write, they said, God is bigger than the gladiator. God is bigger than the dinosaur. And it was just, oh, my heart was so full. It was amazing though. So if you're wondering why I was there, I painted another mural. We painted several art for the donors. We taught classes. So I taught a lot of classes, which was awesome. More than I taught in Rio. And I think a big thing was that I was an encouragement. So this is the team in Juazeiro. Unlike the team in Rio, a lot of them are missionaries themselves. So Rio, the people already live in Rio. In Juazeiro, several of them actually moved from where they were located to this northeast location. So this is, I want to shout out to this couple. This is Diego and Lo. One's from Rio, one's from Sao Paulo. They got married the day after their honeymoon. They moved to help Life Impact with the kids. So that's incredible. Then you have Larissa. She lives like 4 or 5 hours away from the Northeast, moved here just to help out. And she runs Life Impact Juazeiro and a lot of everything like across the nation. And she's also 26, but her heart for the Lord is way more mature than any, like, just, it was inspiring to be around her. So Juazeiro, currently there's 2 prevention projects, 150 kids, 6 missionaries, and 2 locals. Any day now, maybe even as soon as I give this presentation, there'll be 3 prevention projects, 300 kids, 2 rented buildings, and a new generation. So like I keep saying, that what they're doing is not just helping kids, or not just giving kids food, or not just playing with kids, but the essentially teaching kids what is normal and what is not normal, and how to stop this generational cycle of sexual abuse, right? How to, so that when you visit Juazeiro, you're not going to visit a bunch of kids who want to play. You're going to visit a new village, a village of kids who want to change their generation. And it is incredible to be around. So as you can see, my heart, I loved every single moment of there. I felt so at peace when I was with the kids. And to the point where I'm seriously like, dear Lord, please, if you want me to go to Brazil, I will genuinely go. My mom, a big thing she asked, Nisha, you have been traveled all over the world. Why is this time different, right? Why, why not India? Why not China? Why not El Salvador? And I think a big thing is that I love Life Impact's vision, right? They are not just helping poor kids, because you have people like the US government is trying to help poor people, right? This is not just about helping poor or bringing economy or being creative or microfinancing. This is about breaking generational curses and changing entire generations for the Lord. And through that, by breaking, yes, exactly what I said, breaking generational curses. And so the leadership's amazing, and the leadership so believes in what they're doing, and all of the staff also have inherited that vision. It's incredible. And then the last thing, it's unexpected, but it fits well. I never thought of myself, I never thought of Brazil. I speak Chinese, right? Brazil was never on my mind, but being around, just being in Brazil, and the fact that I love dancing, and the fact that I kind of look Brazilian, I just felt so like I fit in. And so I'm like, dear Lord, did you make me just for this? So we will see. So the call to action, the biggest thing is pray for the kids, pray for the staff, pray for the organization. Please visit the organization's website, Life Impact International. And then please pray for me as I am embarking this time of just actively giving it to the Lord, of Lord, where do you want me? And just that I have peace this entire year as a teacher. Please visit the website, stay in contact with me, please contact me, and then donate. If you want an organization that uses their money incredibly well, this is the website right here, Life Impact International, INTL.org. So if you want a organization that uses their money incredibly frugally and does not beg for money, Lana would be the last person to ask for money. She says, if it's the Lord's will, it's God's bill, right? If the Lord wants to make it happen, he will make it happen. And so it's an amazing organization because they don't fret in the money. They know that the Lord will provide. And this is my email if you want to email me or have questions, nishasibakin@aol.com. So thank you so much. This is how you can pray for the team members. And with that, I will say goodbye.